Emma Dawson never thought much of paperwork. As a social worker with 10 years in the child welfare system, she had drowned in forms, case notes, reports, and endless files. Paperwork was the heartbeat of the system. Dry, mechanical, repetitive. Most days, she hated it. But she also knew that those files held lives in them. Children's lives. On a rainy Tuesday morning, Emma sat in the county office, a coffee growing cold at her desk, as she reviewed a routine foster placement file. The case was ordinary on the surface. A 6-year-old girl named Lily, recently placed with a foster family after her biological parents lost custody due to neglect. Emma had seen hundreds of cases like it, but as she scanned the file, her pen tapping lightly against the folder, something caught her eye: a missing page. Not missing as in never written. No, this page had been removed. The file went from page 12 straight to page 14. The placement agreement, signed off by the judge, was gone. Emma frowned. Mistakes happened all the time. Misfiling, duplicate forms, pages lost in fax machines. But when she cross-checked the digital archive, the same page was missing there too. No scan, no trace, as if it had never existed. She wrote a note to request a replacement copy from records, just another clerical fix, but a knot of unease settled in her stomach. The following week, she visited Lily's foster home for a routine check-in. The family was warm, the house tidy, the child shy, but safe. Nothing unusual. Yet when Emma casually asked for a copy of the placement agreement for her file, the foster mother's expression shifted. "Oh, we don't have one," she said, quickly. Too quickly. "It must have gotten lost. The county didn't give us anything." Emma smiled politely, but inside, her alarm bells rang. Every foster parent had that agreement. It wasn't optional. On the drive back, the rain drumming against her windshield, Emma replayed the conversation in her mind. A missing form wasn't uncommon, but the same missing form in both paper and digital records, and a foster family who acted like they'd never seen it, it gnawed at her. That night, Emma sat at her kitchen table, pulling out an old habit she thought she'd abandoned, digging deeper. She logged into the county's restricted archive, searching not just for Lily's case, but for patterns. What she found chilled her. Lily wasn't the only child with lost paperwork. In fact, 6 other children in the past 5 years had placement agreements that had simply vanished. No digital record, no backup, no explanation. As if they had never existed. Each of those children had been placed with families that rarely came up for review. Quiet, compliant households with spotless reports. Too spotless. Emma leaned back, her pulse quickening. This wasn't clerical sloppiness. This was deliberate. The next morning, she brought it up with her supervisor, Martin, a tired man in his 50s who spent decades drowning in the system's chaos. He barely looked up from his coffee as she explained. "Emma, files go missing all the time. You know how overworked we are. Don't chase shadows." "But it's not just one file," Emma pressed. "It's multiple children, the same missing form, the same pattern." "Drop it." His tone hardened. "We don't have time for conspiracy theories." Emma left his office with her face flushed and her chest tight. He wasn't just dismissive, he was afraid. Determined, she began working off the clock. She visited old foster families, tracked down caseworkers, combed through archived court dockets. Most leads went nowhere. Names changed, families moved, records erased. Until she found one thread. One of the missing children, a boy named Daniel, had been pulled from school records 3 years ago. His foster parents claimed they'd moved out of state, but Emma found a faint trail of a medical billing error that linked Daniel to a clinic appointment under a different surname. The new name, a name Emma recognized. Her blood ran cold. It was her mother's maiden name. At first, she thought it had to be coincidence, a common surname, nothing more. But as she dug deeper, the connections multiplied. That same surname appeared linked to a nonprofit adoption agency that handled private placements for wealthy families, a nonprofit that had quietly received county contracts. Her hands trembled as she traced the incorporation papers. Listed among the board members, buried deep, was a name she hadn't seen in years. Her uncle. Memories flooded back. Family gatherings where children were strangely absent, whispered conversations she wasn't supposed to hear, her mother's sudden anger when Emma once asked why she never had cousins. Emma felt the walls of her apartment closing in. Her family wasn't just connected to the foster system, they were inside it, twisting it. And children weren't just being lost, they were being taken. Identities erased, lives sold. The deeper Emma went, the darker it became. She found evidence, obscure financial transfers, off-the-books home inspections, judges who had signed placements without ever meeting the child, a quiet trafficking ring, not run by street thugs, but by people in suits and ties, people she had trusted. And every breadcrumb led back to her family. One night, as she sat surrounded by files and printouts, her phone buzzed. An unknown number. A voice, calm and low. "Stop digging. You don't want to know where this leads." The line went dead. Her skin prickled. They knew. From that moment, it wasn't just about the children anymore. It was about survival. Every step forward put her at risk. Every truth she uncovered threatened to unravel not only her career, but her entire life. She couldn't go to her supervisor, she couldn't trust the system. The system was part of it. So she turned to someone outside, a retired detective she had once worked with on a domestic case. Together, quietly, they began piecing together the full scope. What they uncovered was monstrous. For decades, children had been funneled through lost paperwork, their names erased, their files rewritten, their lives reassigned. Wealthy families who wanted a child but didn't want the delays of legal adoption paid handsomely. Judges, social workers, even politicians took their cut. It was hidden in plain sight, and her own family had been at the center. But the final blow came when Emma discovered why. She wasn't just an unlucky social worker who stumbled on corruption. She was part of its origin story. Her mother, long admired as a pillar of the community, had helped set up the first private placements 30 years ago. Back then, it had been framed as a way to help unwanted children find homes faster. But over time, it had morphed into something sinister, something profitable. And Emma realized the unthinkable. She herself had nearly been one of them. As an infant, she had been marked for placement, but her mother, at the last second, had kept her. Every child she was trying to save was a mirror of what could have been her fate. The story doesn't end neatly. Emma's investigation cost her her job. She faced threats, intimidation, even surveillance. But she refused to stop. She took the file she had copied, the evidence she had gathered, and leaked it to a journalist. The scandal that followed rocked the county. Arrests were made. Trials dragged on for years. Many children were never found. Some identities were lost forever. And Emma? She walked away from social work, but not from the fight. She dedicated her life to exposing the shadows of the foster system because she knew, better than anyone else, that one missing page in a file could hide an entire stolen life.